following program is rated G. It is suitable for all audiences.
Hello, good day everyone. Here you are today on our favorite show, Let's Talk About Your Job. This talk show is a collection of various lessons, messages, true stories, lifestyles, and life experiences. So today's episode is very special because we will be speaking about 5 different famous personalities with a disability who will truly inspire us in their chosen career and field. So first up, we have Apolinario Mabini. Born on July 23, 1864 and died on May 13, 1903 from Tanawan, Batangas, and his disability is paralyzed legs. Disability struck in the life of Apolinario Mabini when he was in his 30s at the prime of his life, but disability did not stop him to show his courage in the midst of revolutionary exigency during his time. With his physical limitations on the actual battlefield, Mabini armed himself with the impressive mind, soul, and deep patriotism that made him a martyr to the cause of the country's freedom. In 1896, Mabini contracted an illness that paralyzed his legs. When the Katipunan Revolt broke out late that year, the Spanish authorities arrested him for being a member of Katipunan, but unknown to many, Mabini was not really a member of Katipunan but of the Reform Association of Rizal's de la Liga Filipina. And on December 10, 1899, he was captured by the Americans at Dicuyapo, Nueva Ecija, but was later then set free. In spite of his physical condition, Mabini refused to submit to American authority and continued to write against the occupying power. On May 13, 1903, Mabini died of cholera in Manila at the age of 38. Mabini's life, despite of disability, was selfless and motivated by high ideals. And he stated that, "I have no other balm to sweeten the bitterness of a harsh and melancholy life than the satisfaction given by the conviction of having always done what I believe to be my duty. God grant that I can say the same at the hour of my death." And next up, we have Rosel Ambubuyog. Born on January 2, 1980 from Tanawan, Batangas, and her disability is visually impaired. And Rosel Ambubuyog is a mathematician and a motivational speaker. Rosel was Ateneo de Manila's university's first visually impaired student. Though she lost her sight as a child, she not only managed to graduate from one of the top universities in the nation, she also won every possible award that a graduating student could receive, including the highest honor of class valedictorian. She continued to excel, earning a master's degree from UP Diliman and a slew of other honors. Following her colorful academic life, she has spent her professional career working for leading technology companies around the world, contributing to the advance of technologies for the blind, and she somehow manages to be a motivational speaker as well. And next up, we have Fernando Cabigti. Born on June 9, 1939 from Iloilo City, and his disability is blind in the left eye and paralyzed of the right hand. Fernando Cabigting is a painter. After a stroke paralyzed his right hand and blinded his left eye in 1999, Fernando had to learn how to paint with his left hand. He also moved from his use of oils and charcoal to using watercolor. Despite his limited mobility, his artistic career continued to flourish. Since his stroke, he has He has had solo exhibitions at the United Nations in New York City, the Ayala Museum in Makati, and the Italia Gallery in Bacolod. His body of work spans over 60 years. He is well known of his original paintings on antique wooden batya, capturing Filipino life and scenery, from landscapes to portrait, scenic, local, and still life. His work captures both the realism and the ideals he holds dear of his culture and his love for the nature and for our environment. Throughout his career, Kabigting has worked on various media, from oil paints to acrylic, to glass art, to metal art, pencil, and watercolor art. And his work on reclaimed wood presents a new dimension to his artistic repertoire. Engaging both realistic and imagined spaces, his work is heightened by more vivid and immersive color palettes as he continued to paint despite suffering from a debilitating health crisis 2 decades earlier. His rehabilitation from such a predicament brought about new elements to his heart and a deeper perspective on his artistic form and style. And as you can see, here are the paintings made by Fernando Kabigting, the art on antique wooden batya, the art on reclaimed wood, and the art on canvas. So next up, we have Stephen Hawking. He was born on January 8, 1942 and died on March 14, 2018 from United Kingdom. His disability is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS, and it is a progressive nervous system disease that affects nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord, causing the loss of muscle control. And Stephen Hawking is an English theoretical physicist. He was one of the most famous scientists in the world has ever seen. Professor Hawking was confined to a special wheelchair mounted with a computer that used to speak for him, as you can see in the photo. He had lost speech due to ALS and was an eminent theoretical physicist who made significant breakthroughs about the functioning of the universe. The discovery of Hawking radiation is among the several of his important scientific contributions. Stephen Hawking was regarded as one of the most brilliant theoretical physicists in the history. His work on the origins and structures of the universe, from the Big Bang Theory and to the black holes, revolutionized the field, while his best-selling books have appealed to readers who may not have Hawking's scientific background. Professor Stephen Hawking was elected a Fellow of the Royal Society, or FRS, in the year 1974. He was honored with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian award in the United States, in 2009. In addition, he also received a long list of scientific achievement awards. And for the last personality that we have is Helen Keller. Born on June 27, 1880, died on June 1, 1968 from United States, and her disability is deafblind, and Helen Keller is an American author. She is probably the best known icon of persons with disabilities. She became deafblind at the age of 19 months due to an unknown illness. Helen was taught to express herself by Anne Sullivan, her teacher who remained her long life companion. Helen Keller went to become the first graduate with deafblindness in the world. The autobiography of Helen Keller, which is the story of my life, is considered a classic book in English literature. She traveled around the world and campaigned for anti-militarism, women's suffrage, labor rights, socialism, and other similar causes. Helen Keller is most certainly one of the most famous disabled persons in the world. And Helen was a true pioneer in her time and for the woman living in the early 20th century. She was very political and was seen to have some pretty radical ideas. She went on to become a world-famous author and speaker with a particular focus on speaking out for people with disabilities. So before we formally end this episode, I just want to say that I'm really proud of 5 of them in their life career, because even though they have their disabilities, they still manage to stand up in their life, fight for something worthy, and be the best version of themselves. They don't let their disabilities be a hindrance to become a successful person. And I'm really honored that I featured them here on our show. So, that concludes today's episode. And again, this is your favorite show. Let's talk about your job. See you on our next episode. Bye!